You are listening to the Novel Writing Podcast, episode 146. I'm your host, Colleen Mitchell. Grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. Today's episode is about the first of four categories of writer's block, and this one is called limiting beliefs. If you got this result from our writer's block quiz, then your first stop should be the video that Haley made for you. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead. I will wait. Now, if you don't know what a limiting belief is, it's when you start self-identifying statements with phrases like, I can't, I don't, or you end up talking yourself out of doing something because you believe the likelihood of achieving it is negligible or that it won't matter. I have a piece of wood art on my wall that says, all limitations are self-imposed. It's a great reminder that no one is forcing us to believe these things. When we have limiting beliefs, what they do is limit our potential. If we automatically and without question believe the lies our brains tell us about what we can or can't do, then we end up in places where we feel stuck, and it's not worth it to try anyway. In writing, this can look like feeling intimidated by successful published authors whose stories are similar to the one that you want to tell. It can whisper in your ear that if it's not a new idea, nobody will enjoy it. But I have two very specific examples that prove otherwise. After all, there is nothing new under the sun. So take Hallmark movies and Hallmark-style romance books. They follow a really specific formula. They're pretty predictable, and yet those movies and books rake in the dough because readers and viewers want something familiar told in a slightly different way. Even if you know the ending going into it, we enjoy the variations in storyline, character, and setting because our brains crave novelty while at the same time thriving on what's familiar. And then secondly, fairy tale retellings. Like, how many times have you seen or read a Peter Pan retelling or a Little Mermaid retelling or a Cinderella retelling? There are so many Cinderella remakes at this point that it's ridiculous, but we keep going to see them. We keep reading them. And for the record, Ever After is the best Cinderella retelling. Fight me. Now, if you limit your creative potential with the excuse that other writers have told the same story before, what you're doing is depriving the world of your version of that story. Nobody else can write the version you want to tell, even if the basic premise might be similar to other popular books. No matter what your limiting beliefs are, and you might have several, the key is to question them. Put on your curiosity hat and poke at those beliefs until they either have more holes than Swiss cheese or have held up enough to prove that they're worth maybe either keeping or just considering. Whether you believe that you don't have enough time, or that getting published is too hard to even try writing a book, or that your writing isn't good enough, and spoiler, every first draft sucks, and plenty of second and third drafts suck too. Whether you believe any of those things, the process is the same. Question whether they're actually true. Not if they feel true, because of course they feel true, otherwise you wouldn't have these limiting beliefs. But look at it through the lens of objectivity and facts, not emotion, and use those answers to direct your next steps forward. So just to break down the ones that I gave you, time. Everyone has 168 hours in a week. You have more time to write than you think, which is why doing time audits is so revealing. Publishing. Publishing is getting more and more accessible every year, especially self-publishing. No longer do you need an agent or a traditional contract to be a successful author. What you do need is to realize that both types of publishing have their own challenges, and it's your choice which challenges you are willing to tackle. And we have done a whole podcast episode on exactly this topic. And then third, like I said, everyone's first draft sucks. We say it's supposed to be garbage for a reason. If you've literally never written a book before, expecting it to be as perfect as you envision in your head is an unrealistic expectation. Limiting beliefs can be extremely sneaky, which is why it's really helpful to talk to other writers in a community about your struggles. We sometimes don't even know we're operating with limiting beliefs until having a conversation with someone who has overcome those very same beliefs. I like to say that you can't read the label from inside the bottle, which just means that you probably don't know you've got a limiting belief until someone else points out the symptoms you've believed were normal this whole time. I don't have time. Nobody has time, right? There must be something special or different about writers who have the time to write. Publishing is a labyrinth. The people who figure it out must be smarter than me. I've never read the first drafts of books that I love. Therefore, the published version must have been the first draft, and it was perfect, so therefore my first draft must be perfect. And the fact that it isn't means there's something wrong with me. If any of those sound A, silly, yet B, relatable, then you might have limiting beliefs. And we can help you both identify and break them through the 60-day novel writing challenge and our coaching and critique group. And you can find more details about how to join those in the description. That's it for today's episode. If this has been helpful for you, I would appreciate it if you left a rating or review on your platform of choice. While it does nothing for us, it really does help other writers find this podcast. So thanks for joining me, and remember, the first draft is supposed to be garbage.
Thanks for listening to the Novel Writing Podcast. If you're ready to stop struggling and start finishing your novel, check out the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge. It's a step-by-step program designed for solo writers to complete their first draft with clarity and focus. Visit the link in the description to learn more.